Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning to everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Sunday Morning Coffee with Caryn, me, Caryn Terrace. I am your host, Caryn Terrace. I am a super conscious leadership mentor, and I help people from all over the world move from their communities into the world stage, from being a badass in your own personal echo chamber to being a badass out there in the real world where we can really truly affect the most change as possible. Mostly I work with those who are ready and willing and able to step out into the quote-unquote political arena. Not all politics are national, guys. There are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of ways that you can contribute to your community in a capacity that really affects a lot of change without having to go through while using the system that we already have in place. I know that so many people right now are convinced that the system is inherently broken. It's really the people who have been in power, the people that have been willing to go into those positions, and then it has turned into this sort of oligarchy, sort of like the only sane people ever run. We've created this community, this country filled with career politicians, especially here in America. So I don't really want to focus just on that today, but I want to talk about this idea of thrivability. Thrivability is a word that I use mostly with my kids, but with my clients as well, as a term of what is your ability. Hi, hey Matthew. What is your ability to thrive? What your ability to thrive, and not just thrive, but thrive unapologetically. To not feel bad that you are thriving when people around you are just barely getting by. There are literally millions and millions and millions and millions of coaches out there that will help you with your issues with being not enough. You don't feel like you're good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you're not pretty enough. I don't work with people that have enoughness issues. Work with people that have too muchness issues. It's not that you're not pretty enough, it's that you're afraid that you're too pretty. It's not that you're smart enough, it's that you're afraid that you're too smart. It's not that you're thriving enough, it's that you're thriving too much, and that somehow you thriving, you being pretty, you being smart, you being wealthy is somehow taking away from other people, when right now is the perfect time for you to thrive, because we need more lighthouses. There are so many people. I used this analogy last week, and it's just been coming up over and over and over and over and over again, because it's the perfect analogy for those of us who since 2012 have been expecting some sort of something. No one predicted that it was going to be a pandemic, but we all knew that somewhere around 2020 things were going to change. Honestly, I was this weekend with some friends, and we just kept talking about how hindsight is 2020, and how the year 2020 seems to be like, hey, y'all, I warned you. There have been times where you've had a chance, and I'm just done. I don't want to wait for you to figure it out, so I'm going to force you to figure it out by putting you into a slowed down way of life. The analogy is that there are many of us who are lighthouses right now. Like I said, we've built the foundation, we've been doing our inner work, we've been doing our shadow integration, we've been becoming whole and complete unto ourselves. We have created successful businesses, we've created families, we have gotten out of that survival mode, and we've been calling for people to come join us. And in the meantime, while we were here building this new space, being on this shore over here, building lighthouses, building this new way of life where you are really inwardly focused, and the more inwardly focused you are, truly inwardly focused, the more you are outwardly available. I'm not talking about inner work as in selfishness, as in being able to figure out what is going on out here and how am I causing that to occur. if you caught my live stream earlier this week on spring solstice or spring equinox, I wore my favorite magic shirt, which is as above, so below, which is the true tenet of magic. Everything as within, so without. So if you are experiencing your life in an outward way, you have the responsibility, and you alone have the responsibility and ability to go within and figure out what part of your unconscious mind is creating this outward projection. So there's been a ton of us sitting over here on the new world, in this new space, doing this already. And in the meantime, while most of the population was out in the water, just kind of floating around, getting pushed around by waves, letting that go, there were a few people who, somehow were able to commandeer better ships, were able to, they came out with better ships, but they haven't made it all the way to this new world. And they are who I consider lifeboats, okay? You are going and you're jumping on these lifeboats with people who they don't really care who is on their boat and who's not on their boat. They don't care if you actually make it to the new world or not. They don't even realize that they're going to a new world. They think that their world is pretty tough shit because they live in the captain's quarters. They live in the captain's quarters. They've got all their nice shit. They've got all their gold and their food. They're not dying of scurvy. They're not dying of any of that stuff. And yet the more people that they pack onto their boat, the less effective they are, because they themselves are still in a mindset of survival. I have to take care of me, and if I take care of me in a very monetary way, wealth consciousness way, oh, look at how awesome I am, look at how great my life is, now I can teach you, now I can help you do it because I did it too. Those people don't give a fuck about you. So if you are trying to currently find someone who's like, let me teach you how to create a 6-figure business in the middle of all of this, blah, 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 I was here and then I was here, unless they were there in January of this year and now they're somewhere, people are not staying with the times, okay? There's so much coming up right now to convince people, oh, you're at home by yourself, time to go meditate, oh, time to go inward. People who are not prepared, if you're not prepared to go inward, if you're not prepared to be held in a space where you get to look at your inner demons and accept them as they are, don't go spend $700 on a walk yourself through it coaching program. You're probably not going to do it. Less than 10% of people who ever buy an online course that's like an evergreen course actually end up completing it, and even less than that actually complete it in the time that was suggested. So I have a 4-week course called Checked Out to Dialed In, and I've had 700 people buy it, and 3 of them have actually completed it in 4 weeks. Only 7 of them have ever completed all of it, and the other 690 people, there's some people who paid for that course that literally never even started it, okay? It is completely, hey Jennifer, hi everyone, Dave, Antonia, hi. That is not what we need. If you are pushing packages right now, you too are in a survival consciousness because you're trying to figure out, well, shit, I better make as much money as I can right now before people start figuring out that I'm a fraud, or that that I don't have anything new, and I don't know how to keep up with these times, and I don't know what's going to happen in my life. So I better just pump out and sell what I know how to sell, because at least I'm going to be able to make my pocket, I can fill my basket more. I'm going to continue filling my basket and filling my basket and filling my basket by giving out what I already know, and hopefully enough people out there don't know it yet that I can profit off of them, but I don't really give a shit whether or not they make it. Still survival techniques. Still calling people out using fear. Oh, you're so afraid? Are you afraid that you're not good enough? Are you afraid that your life is never going to change? Are you we're all fucking afraid right now, okay? We are literally need to show up as healers now more than exactly, yeah. And I would take that as well as that it's not even that there's not healers out there. Again, I am thriving. I had the most successful week of my entire business last week, and I wasn't pushing fear. I wasn't pushing, oh, so now you're home alone and now you're realizing that you're a really shitty mom. Oh, your husband is completely just ignoring you right now and you don't have to do it. Well, come and learn from me because I can teach you how to be a better mom and how to be better at this and how to, you don't need to be better. You need to love yourself where you are, and that's where thriving begins. So, 3 ways that you can increase your thrivability. Number 1 is love yourself where you are right now. Right now, with $15 in your bank account, no food in your grocery store, no food on your pantry, kids running amok, house is a fucking mess, husband's like gone MIA to his friends for poker on Thursday, and here it is Sunday, and he's still not home. How can you love your life right now as it is? What are things in your life right now that you can start listing that you already have, that you already are in abundance of? Do you have an abundance of clean air to breathe? Do you have an abundance of drinking water that you can just turn on your tap? Do you have an abundance of space outside that you can go and walk around? I don't know, some people can't walk around. Do you have an abundance? What do you already have an abundance of within your house, within yourself? Because as sentient beings, like we can think outside of our survival, right? So let's talk about that survival for a second. If you can imagine the brain, okay, you have the brain, and lots of people like to talk about the left brain and the right brain. I'm going to talk about for a second the upstairs and the downstairs brain. The downstairs brain is right here, the medulla oblongata, and it is all of your autonomic systems. So you don't have to think to breathe, you don't have to think to swallow, you don't have to think to digest your food, you don't have to think to, to feel if you touch something pointy, like you don't think, ow, that hurts. Like you automatically know it hurts, and so you move your hand. That is a survival based instinct. Like even the tiniest little worm, if you touch the worm, no, like automatically squirrels away, right? That is a survival technique. The worm's like, oh shit, you're a bird, you're gonna eat me. So it squiggles away. And then it gets a little bit bigger, so you're in this reptilian brain. So you go from like a very basic life form like an ant or a worm that survives literally off of pheromones and vibration only. The brain capacity, they don't hear, they don't, I think the ants smell, actually. I recently learned that they smell, but that's the pheromones, right? It's like, it's not even smelling the way that we think of smelling. It's completely different. Like the sugar over here doesn't smell sweet to them. They just know that the sugar is over here because of whatever teeny tiny ant-like pheromones they're able to pick up on the sugar. So that's like basic survival. Even like go even smaller, a fucking virus. How is this virus surviving? Well, it knows viruses are asexual, right? They just reproduce themselves. They just keep making more photocopies of themselves over and over and over and over again, and they spread. But still, on a very basic level, it's survival, right? It has to survive. How is it surviving? Well, it's mutating and it's changing, and it finds its host, and then when it's inside its host, it can make more viral babies and then keep spreading out. So then you come up to the worms and the ants, and then you come up to like reptiles. And if you look at a reptile or even a bird, its sense of I'm hungry and its sense of eat something are right next to each other. Okay, like in their brain, in their teeny tiny little brain, they're right next to each other. So crocodile hungry, crocodile see fish, crocodile eat fish. So it's not like it has to think about, okay, so I'm going to go get a rope, I'm going to get a fishing rod, I'm going to get some worms. Like the crocodile isn't thinking about the process in how it's going to eat fish. Its brain says hungry, eat. It goes, it's not thinking, oh, I'm hungry. What am I going to get here? Am I going to get some Taco Bell? Am I going to get some pho? Am I going to get some sushi? Like where am I? No, it's literally like hungry, hungry. Same thing with a rat. Like a rat gets put in the cage and the cheese is over here, and the rat is hungry, and the rat's going to go through every single fucking way possible to get to the cheese. All it can think about is cheese. Rat hungry, eat cheese. Rat hungry, eat cheese. Rat hungry, eat cheese. Rat sleepy, sleep. Rat need poop, poop. Like, its brain is so small that it only knows how to survive. Even lions, even bigger animals, even apes that we can see have some sort of, lions are my favorite to talk about because they stalk, right? Like, they stalk their prey. They're pretty, like, they look like they're sitting there, like, taking their time, assessing the situation, but they're still not like, it's still lion hungry, eat gazelle. Just because they have a more sophisticated way of going about to eat gazelle, a lion's brain still has like hunger, eat something as very, very close to each other in the brain. Because they only have, the mammalia brain. So you have the reptile brain and then the mammalial brain, and then you have humans. Humans have a prefrontal cortex. We have this bigger, like, even when you're thinking about the right brain and the left brain, there's still more talking about the upstairs. Like, we started in the basement and now we're like going to the attic. And most of the life on planet Earth is the main part of the house. Humans be up here in the attic because we can think, I think, therefore I am, right? Does the lion exist even though the lion doesn't think, like, doesn't recognize it? And maybe it does. We don't really have the ability to materialistically, scientifically do that, right? So you can sit there and have a conversation with a lion and be like, nah, motherfucker, that lion knows that it exists. But has science, like, in the way that humans agree that science is measured, which is very materialistic and very narrow-minded. But for the sake of this conversation, let's just continue there because this is stuff I teach my kids. That's the favorite thing that I love about my job, is that I really teach people basic things that either they never learned in school, or when they learned it, it wasn't like brought up to their attention to being super important, or they completely just like shut down that the lesson ever existed. But mostly it's that no one was ever taught it. We weren't taught neuroscience because most neuroscience machines didn't even exist until 2010. I was already graduated from high school by the time most of the research that I talk about was even completed. So it's not surprising to me that I have clients that are everywhere from 25 to 65 years old, and I'm only 31 because I was like 28 years old, so I was reading 8-year-old science, stuff that people still didn't know existed. And I probably just blew a few people's minds with just explaining the brain. So then you get to the human's brain, and guess what? Our want to eat is still down here in the mammalian brain, but our thought of eat food has moved to like further away. So then we can have that process. Oh, am I going to have a salad? Am I going to have a steak? Where am I going to get my salad? Am I going to go to the grocery store and buy the stuff? Am I going to do Uber Eats? Like, how am I going to? And you can go through all these new processes versus crocodile eat food, crocodile hungry, crocodile eat food, lion eat hungry, lion eat food, right? We don't have that. So we already, on a very mass scale of all the other creatures living on planet Earth, we can even conceptualize thriving, right? Other animals, there's not like a lion out there. I know we all saw The Lion King, so we kind of want to like make them a little bit more human, but there isn't a lion out there that has a cave just filled with gazelle meat in an icebox. Right? They're not preparing for no gazelle. They eat gazelle, and then they immediately, as soon as they're done eating that damn gazelle, are on the prowl for a new gazelle, because their lives really are so simplistic and so in the moment, right? They don't conceptualize time. Your baby, when it's born, is a reptile, is only mammalian. The prefrontal cortex isn't even fully developed until you're 24 years old. So when you wonder why you made some of stupid decisions when you were a teenager, it's because your brain isn't even fully developed until mid-20s. Your mid-20s, and yet we're like, yeah, you have the right to do this, and you can do that, and you're smart enough to do that, and yeah, go ahead and do that. And it's not that we can't, like, if we taught our kids basic survival skills more, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and say that they can make these decisions at the age of 18. But most 18-year-olds have the emotional intelligence of like a 9-year-old. And they weren't taught proper critical thinking skills because their own 50-year-old dad also only has the emotional intelligence of a 9-year-old, because emotional intelligence as well is not something that's been talked about. We haven't talked about, we went through as a survival species for so long, right? Let's go back to the 1800s. Let's talk about, everyone keeps talking about smallpox. Let's go there for a second. Comparing coronavirus to smallpox. Smallpox killed a lot of kids, okay? Smallpox killed a lot of children. That's the reason why smallpox is so fucking scary. Polio as well, is because older people, unlike coronavirus, unlike COVID-19, maybe a teenager at least, yeah, maybe, 50-year-olds, like still, a lot of 50-year-old dads that I know have the emotional intelligence of like a 13-year-old boy, so unless they've done inner work, right? There's lots of more, like I'm being very general right now because I want to be general. I want you to recognize that you are not an average person if you're not part of the average. If you're even sitting right here watching this, oh, this is interesting, I want to learn, and you're going to sit here for the duration of a 1-hour live stream because that's how long these are every week, then you have already made it past 75% of the human population. So smallpox. So they were worried about smallpox because it was affecting children, and so all of a sudden the survival of our species was at risk. So they were on it immediately, as fast as they could, like, oh my gosh, I need to know what the hell is going on, I need to fix this, we need to get the vaccine, we need to do all this. Unlike COVID-19, that is oddly attacking older people and people with autoimmune disease. And even then, when you look at the stats of people with autoimmune disease and their age, it's still disproportionately affecting older people. Like, older people are immune compromised, so it's like a really interesting thing to think about as well. Like, their immune system is breaking down because they're older. But it's just very interesting to watch when you look at every other pandemic, epidemic, the plague, all that stuff that has affected humanity before. Every other one has always, always, always affected little babies and little children. And this is not. It's not killing, at least, children at the same rate. Now, yeah, kids are getting it and they're spreading it, so I'm not against any of the social distancing, honestly. I think it's a good idea. But they're not dying, right? So it's a whole different, like, that in and of itself shows you, like, hey, we're in this new world. Remember the lighthouses? We're in this new space where if you're not going to be able to step up into the new times, it's like, I keep seeing like analog people in a digital world that just like are not, they can't keep up. They can't keep up with how fast things are changing, and we are going to keep accelerating. Life is going to keep changing at a rapid pace. So if the first thing you can do is love yourself where you are, the second thing you can do to thrive is recognize your ability to thrive, okay? So love yourself where you are right now, in all your scarcity, and all your lack, and all your everything. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us are. It's very interesting. The second is your ability to thrive. So I already just broke it down. How are you able to thrive? Well, you're already not a lion. You're already a human being, right? You're already so much more capable than, 99% of the other species on the planet. So then your next thing is to come, okay, as a human, what do I need to survive, right? This goes back to like Maslow's hierarchy. I know that there's another one like the spiral or whatever. Again, fucking try to make it basic. Everyone knows Maslow's theory, so let's go there to the pyramid, right? The base is, do I have something to eat? Do I have water to drink? Do I have somewhere to sleep? That's it. Like, literally, do I have food, water, and shelter? Because without food, water, and shelter, I die. That's it. Food, water, shelter. Food, water, shelter. And that is, honestly, now let's look at the human population. How many people have access to clean drinking water versus don't? How many people have access to food every day versus don't? How many people have a warm place to sleep every night versus don't? So now we're taking 1% of the species, and we just took away 2/3 of 1% of the species on the planet, right? Like, even 1%. I don't even know what the percentage is, but I'm saying like all the other species are 99%, and you're the 1% of humans. Okay, I don't know the fucking breakdown of it. Just bear with me. So you got humans, but then even smaller amount of humans are even set up in a position to thrive. They literally are not given access. They're not given access to clean drinking water, to food to eat every night, to medicine, to ways to keep themselves basically alive. And then, I think I need to sip a coffee for a second, because like I can already feel the heat like in my belly, so. Then there are those selfish motherfuckers who decided that with their credit card, they were going to go spend $1,000 on toilet paper. I'm a cloth diapering mom. We got cloth wipes. I ain't afraid. But those people took survival to the max. Not thinking about thriving. Not thinking about being nice and helping others. And maybe I should bring this to the food bank or to the homeless shelter or any of those things. Like, I have friends who work for nonprofits that right now they're like, I've got boys in treatment, I can't buy them their food. Like, literally teenagers in treatment centers can't get their dinner because some bitch, sorry, went to fucking Costco and used her husband's money, I just said that, because he goes to work all day while she sits on her ass doing jack shit, to go use their money that was saved up to go buy 2 years worth of food. And they're not actually buying 2 years, they're not like buying rice, like they are, but clearing out the freezers, clearing all this stuff. So now there are kids in treatment who aren't with their families, who are totally freaked out, that don't know what's going on, and they're not getting their base needs met because of some dumb bitch. A whole lot of them who think that up there in their ivory white houses, up on the hilltop, with their pantry stocked, their 6 different freezers stocked full of food, and their whole garage filled with stuff, and their whole trailer shed full of other stuff, they're going to use all of that? No. You're never going to fucking use it. You're going to end up throwing away most of it. But humans, since 1900s, was the first century that humans actually had a chance to thrive on a mass scale. Okay, people have been thriving forever, right? There's always been a king and a queen. There's always been the upper class and the lower class. There's always been the separation. There's always been the few people that can thrive. But for the first time ever, in the last century, more humans have had the access to be able to thrive, okay? That's what the education system wanted to kind of start doing, but then they realized that they could actually make a whole lot of mindless soldiers instead, and that was a way better idea. So thriving comes down to your capacity to, like, you have to know that you can thrive. Like, you don't need to stay a reptile. You don't need to stay a lion. You have so much around you that already gives you access to, so the fact that you're watching this gives you access, right? Facebook has 1 billion people on it. The internet has even more. And yet there's 8 billion people on the planet, and probably only 2 billion of them will ever actually have the ability to watch this because of the 6 billion people that are living in much lower conditions. I remember being a kid and going to one of these dinners. Let me know if you've ever been to one of these. But you get there, and when you arrive, you pull like from the hat like 1, 2, or 3. And they put everyone in. And if you have a 1, you go and you sit on the floor, and you're given a tiny little bowl with a little like spoon of rice and a little spoon of beans. And that's it, like in a fucking little bowl, this big, one of those little bowls. And if you number 2, you get to sit on pillows, still on the floor, and your bowl's a little bigger, so you have like a whole scoop of rice and a whole scoop of beans. And then like the people that got number 3, let's say 100 people go there, like 80 people are gonna get the number 3. And then you're gonna have like 15 people that get the number 2. And then those 5 people that get the number 1, they're going to get a steak dinner, they're going to have champagne, they get lobster, they get all of it. Like maybe the number 2 also gets like a piece of meat. Like they get the scrappy, shitty part of a piece of meat, but the people with they're getting a like filet mignon and a whole lobster and all of the stuff. 5 people out of 100 are going to get that. If you live in America, compared to the rest of the world, and I don't really care where you are in America, if you're watching this, if you live in America or any of those other, Australia, the UK, France, any of these highly developed Western countries, you are, compared to the rest of the world, one of those 5 people. I don't care if you've never eaten filet mignon in your life, you probably have also not gone 3 days without eating and gotten a tiny little quarter cup of rice to eat to hopefully keep you full for the next 3 days. That's what happens in Africa every day. It's what happens in South America every day. It's what happens in the Middle East every day. You are already thriving more than 80% of the planet. And you're worried that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough. Okay, but Dave, if you're homeless, are you fucking watching this? Like, please, like, I cannot handle that sort of shit right now. I literally said, if you are watching this. If you're watching this and you live in America, you're not, no homeless person has a fucking cell phone, watch this. So that comment is so completely and totally off the mark. Like, listen before you comment. If you have the internet, you're thriving. If you have a smartphone, you're thriving. If you have a house, you're thriving. If you took a shower this morning, you're thriving. If you're going to be able to drink coffee today, you're thriving. And if you don't think that, then you need to fuck off and get the fuck off my goddamn live stream right now. I am not talking about those boys who don't get to eat this week because Costco was wiped out from dumb ass bitch Mormon cunt mothers. Yeah, I'm that mad because I drove past Costco with women with four shopping carts filled with food and then found out from my friend that her boys in treatment aren't eating this week. Utahns spent 250 times the amount on groceries last week than they had the previous year in the same week, and then we had earthquakes. The only reason why my family is eating is because we're plant-based. We eat vegan already. We already know how to use the rutabagas that everyone else is ignoring. You can multitask, Dave. Sorry. Like, thank you, though, for saying that, because I knew someone was going to say unless you're homeless, so, like, I'm with it. Like, fine. I got to get my fire out because I knew someone was going to say it, so it was said. But again, you can watch this. You have access to YouTube. You have access to the meditations. You have access to that. So the first thing you can do is recognize that you're already thriving. Love yourself as you are right now in the thriving moment that you are. Secondly, recognize your capacity to continue to thrive. Then the third thing you can do is stop apologizing and start doing something about it. Don't feel bad if you are that mom that has 6 freezers. Because I know a bunch of them. And they were like, what? Don't be mad at me. I told them to go into their freezers and go find some things that they know their family's never going to need, that they bought out of total, like their kids fucking hate green beans. Why do you have an entire case of green beans? And I gave them the ads to my friends, nonprofit that she works for, so that they could go drop off cans to those boys. All of them. All those treatment centers, all those places that don't think, oh, how do they get fed when they're rehab? They're not getting their food. Go, like, all of this shit is going on behind the scenes, and people aren't thinking about that. They're not thinking about others. They're not thinking about the food. They're not thinking about any of that. Because this whole virus turns back into yeah, totally. And I'm not trying to speak out the Mormon Church. I'm really not. They just have a very, for as long as I've lived in Utah, which is almost 3 years of my life, other people, not my house, but other people out into, and they'd have like a double door fridge, like a nice freezer. And you'd go into their garage, and they would have one, maybe 2 chest freezers, and then how other, like in other parts of the country, all of your garages are filled with shelves, and they're filled with like toys and totes. No, it's a whole pantry. They would have a pantry that's already like a walk-in pantry. So you would open a door, it's like this whole corner of the wall is a door, and it's this huge top to bottom pantry filled with food. And then you'd open the fridge, filled with food. And then you go into the garage, filled with food. And I was always told that it's because in their church, in their meetings, they're taught to have 2 years worth of supplies in case of any sort of disaster. Okay, so that was fine, like, cool. So in my mind, when all this shit happened, I was gonna be fine because 60% of my population around me already had those things because that's what they've been being told their whole lives. But that apparently isn't what happened. They're told it, but they didn't do it until the earthquakes were happening, until the coronavirus hit Utah. Then all of a sudden, what they've been supposed to be doing for their whole lives as members of the LDS Church, it caused mass panic, filling 4 grocery carts filled with Costco at Costco. Okay? Costco is way out in Utah. There is a Costco that closed. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous that the food is gone. Because especially fruits and vegetables, they're just going to get thrown out. They're not going to get used. People don't know how to use them. So the reason why the fruits and veggies are the only fucking thing left in the store while the hand sanitizer is gone. People don't know how their immune system works. They don't know how fresh fruits and vegetables work. All the canned food is gone that doesn't have any nutritional value in it, but all the fresh fruits and vegetables are still there. Like, it's, the whole world is ass backwards, which is why this virus is ass backwards, why it's killing the older men and women instead of the younger generation. Because I can tell you, those moms that are pushing those carts are all older moms. I will tell you that. I didn't see a single person in their 30s doing more than their regular grocery shopping this week. And I know plenty of people in their 30s that make a whole lot more money than people in their 50s. Food for Less still has some, yeah, totally. There's food. There is food. It's coming around, but I'm trying to say, like, last week, right after the earthquake, if you tried to go get food, there was none, because even more panic had set in. We didn't have earthquakes, and we had them all day on Wednesday. It was nuts. So third and final thing that you can do to increase your thrivability, let me think about how to phrase this. Well, I already said it. You have to be apologetic, but how to be unapologetic when you know that all these things, like, Caryn, the hell, you just made me very aware that I am a privileged white person. I don't know how many of you are white, but you're really fucking privileged. I'm a privileged person in America. And this is something, guys, why I'm talking about it is because I spent my weekend with some people that the amount of trauma that they've encountered in their lives, the amount of lack that they've encountered in their lives, the fact that they have been homeless before, it's showing. Like, you can tell. And I started to feel really bad about the fact that I've never been homeless. I've never known what it's like to not have a meal. I've never had an extremely sexually traumatic experience. I've never been brutally attacked. I have white girl level privilege trauma. I don't know how to say that. I live on the east side of Salt Lake City. We don't have crimes, really. Like, we have white collar crime. All of it. I live in a white collar society. I've lived in the middle class my whole life. And now all this stuff is happening, and I am supposed to somehow feel bad about what I was handed in life. I'm supposed to think that I'm not good enough, or that I'm too good, and feel bad about that. I'm like, societally, oh, you're so pretty, you should maybe not point out that you're so pretty. You should maybe not tell people that you are a banging MILF who lost half of her body weight in a year by doing inner work and not changing her diet. You don't need to tell people about how you had the most successful week in your business when other people lost their jobs. No, I do. I do need to say those things. I need to say them because going back into lack, fear mindset isn't going to change the world. You say you want an evolution, you say you want a revolution. Okay, great. We all want to change the world. You want to change how things are done? Show me your plan. I know lots of people. I connect to a ton of people. I've been in politics. I've been in nonprofit organizations. I've worked with grassroots. I've worked with so many people in so many different areas. I probably know someone can help you get on, but do you actually have a plan? Or are you like most people sitting on the internet right now bitching? Yeah, I know. Like, I know a lot of people about white, but like, just American, just like, I really don't give a fuck about where people's lives were. Don't about your childhood, because you're not a fucking child anymore. Who are you right now? I'm going to get very, very blurry. Who are you? Who are you now that society has essentially crumbled? You are not the sister, because your sister lives across the country and you can't see her. You're not, momming is about like, okay, so I'm a mom, but who are you besides a mom and besides a wife? Who are you besides a dad? When society crumbles, our relationships are no longer what define us. So who are you? Who are you? Who are you meant to be? Who are you becoming? Yes. And you're here to show them how to do the same. Yes. I feel like I got some things. I'm staying with, oh yeah, it's what they've been programmed to do. It's mostly junk food. Yeah, it's like, you buy all the junk food, right, Jennifer? It's fucking ridiculous. I don't get it. Like, oh, you don't need 97 things of Cheetos. It's not gonna help you. And why'd you take all my Oreos, guys? Oreos are like the only thing that I have. So, when we talk about thriving, I want you also to think about, like, what does it take to thrive? Well, it takes fucking resilience. I tell you that I had to learn how to be really resilient. I had to learn to be like, that's your opinion, and I will take it, like, I will process it through my own knowing, but I know who I am. I know that I am here to change the world, and I do have a fucking plan if you want to see it. My plan has to do with infiltrating the system. But it had to take me opening my mind, freeing my mind, and being able to see the system from a completely point of view. Because I used to be a total anarchist. I used to be someone who talked about the deep state and the Illuminati and all that shit. And it's not doing fucking anything. It is doing nothing. Conspiracy theories are doing nothing. Talking like we have a chance game the system. We have to get our asses in the seats. 2021, I want to see more people running for city council. I want to see school boards filled. I want to see all of these non-important elections being infiltrated and taken over by people with this sort of thrive mentality. This mentality that we can be better and do better and have better so that when we are and do and have, we can give to others. In this day and age, there is no reason why a human on this fucking should ever go to bed hungry. In this day and age, when the USA throws away enough food to feed all of Africa, no one in Africa should be fucking dying for not eating. I'm so literally angry right now. I hope you can feel it because I am so pissed off at the amount of entitled, survival-based bullshit that has been spread on the internet for the last 10 days. Instead of anyone thinking about children or having everything in their life completely turned around. Food is expensive in Africa. They're not able to get any regular supply. They aren't donating out of the shit that's donated on the over. You think that things are bad right now? Go in Africa right now. So billions of them. But you went to the news about that, were you? No, you were only listening about COVID-19, your comfortable house, where YouTube and your Hulu, you're bored. Fuck you if you're bored. Go do something. Go write a letter to your senator. Go figure out what position you can run for in 2021 that's actually going to make a fucking difference. You're not going to make a difference staying on the outside, throwing tomatoes at the person on stage. All you're going to do is make the person on stage really pissed off. Go do something, because you are in a capacity to actually do something. You have that in you. You have the ability. You are not focused on surviving. So go and thrive. Go be too big. Go be too pretty. Go be beautiful. Go be a genius. Go share your art. Go do something that makes a difference in another person's life. Because thriving is your ability to know that your own human needs are so fulfilled and so taken care of because you have done the work that you can give, and your cup will never be empty. That is what it means to thrive. You are so solid and so clear on knowing that you are provided for in this earth, that you can give, and you will never, ever run out. I don't run out of energy. I don't run out of ideas. I don't run out of money. I don't run out of passion. I don't run out of fire. I have cried so hard this week, harder than I have ever cried in a long time, because of the amount of absolute selfish ridiculousness I have witnessed from people that 6 months ago claimed to be enlightened. Spreading conspiracy theories is not like just continuing to hit each other. We are forming a global community. I have no hate for them, because hatred for them is myself. I'm not going to sit around and try to blame anyone. I'm not going to sit around and try to figure out whose fault this is, because the only person I have any control over at any given moment is myself. I can't control my kids. I can't control my husband. I can't control the stock market. I can't control the idiot super cunts at Costco. I can only ever be in control and take authority for and responsibility for myself and my actions. So what am I doing right now? I'm making sure that all of these things that you guys see on social media are getting out into more places. My YouTube channel is popping. My IGTV is going off. I've been sending out letters to people. All of the people in my senator knows who I am. My House rep knows who I am. My mayor knows who I am. I send those letters. I show up to the city council meetings. Okay, they're canceled right now, but I normally show up to city council meetings. I've had more impact in my city just by showing up to a city council meeting, making them aware of a problem, and then they actually go and fix it. I live on a hill that's really dangerous that kids weren't able to cross a crosswalk, and I went to one city council meeting and they put up one of those flashy things. Like, so the kids the button, and now I don't feel scared for the kids trying to cross the street. It took an hour and a half of my day, one day, to go do that. I got an hour and a half to go do that, to make that no kids get hit. The reason why nothing had ever happened is because those kids are smart enough to know that idiots are driving down the hill going 50 on a 35. But it shouldn't have to take some kid getting hit at a crosswalk for the city to notice that it's a problem. It takes one citizen who's on this hill since 1992 to go there and be like, guys, this is a problem. You can look at your own life and continue to only look at your own life. You're welcome to. Like, you're more than welcome to only ever focus on yourself. You would be no different than the other 95% of people. I don't think that you guys are the 95% of people, though. I don't tend to attract people to watch my live streams that are other. I don't even like the separation. I really hate that I have to make the separation obvious when my whole goal is togetherness. I don't want to go infiltrate the government because I think that the United States government needs to stand. I want to go infiltrate it because I think we need a world government at this time. I don't believe in borders. I don't believe in nationality. I don't believe in that shit. We are global citizens, and it's time that we start fucking acting like it. Okay. So what can you do? What can you do right now? Well, if you're ready to step up as a leader, I do have my Fearlessly Authentic Leadership Group. It's a $69 one-time fee. We have weekly trainings. There's the 5-day masterclass. Inside of there is an opportunity to work with me for a quarter of what I charge. Other work with me outside of that civic contained focusing leaders who are actually wanting to lead. Leadership, a word's been thrown around a lot, and yet my group, y'all aren't fucking in it, so I don't know how you saying that you're leading. Again, I have connections to people in the government. I have connections to people in grassroots. If you want to actually lead and make a change, then my group should be at least 1,000 people big right now. Especially like 4 of you that are on this call right now. Where are you? Like, why are you not in this group? Your posts can say all day long that you want to lead. You're not taking any actions. Everyone out there is talking the talk. Talk, 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 talk. I'm a little talker, talk, talk, talk. I'm a little talker, talk, talk, talk. I think I'm tough shit. I've made money, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. Like, just fuck you. You're not doing shit. You are talking and making money from your words, and your actions are not there. Your clients aren't succeeding. Your clients aren't thriving. They're dropping off left and right. They're not signing up because you're not taking any action in your actual life to be the change. I want to see your plan. I want to see of action. I want to see what it is that you are actually doing in your life right now, that you are doing besides talking. I've donated 5 carloads worth of stuff. I have made sure that I'm not buying more than my weekly amount of groceries. I'm making sure that we are contributing in whatever ways possible while still being socially distant. So I'm not contributing. I don't give extreme system. All my family tend to care without her noticing it. So I'm doing my part that way. I'm not out there in the streets. I'm not out saying fuck you to the government. I don't want martial law to happen. I know the way martial law doesn't happen is by in somewhat of a box. But I'm going to push the limits of that box until the box breaks open. Because that's how I don't fit labels seat tall. I can't tend to push any corner very easily. You push me and I'm going to fight and claw my way out. And by the end of that fight, it's not going to be just me behind me. I'm going to have a whole fucking army behind me. Because I'm a lifeboat watching around the shores right now, washing around in that fucking storm. I am this cliff with a lighthouse on top of it. Oh yeah, peach up in here too. I mean, come on. It's more when you play peach. Magic fairies, all of that stuff. When you open your mind up to the limitless possibility of thriving and focusing solely on the penny television to survive. Only food, water, shelter to survive. There's so much more to life than food, water, and shelter. And as soon as you can recognize that you are thriving, as long as you have those first things, everything apart from food, water, and shelter is thriving, and you have unlimited capacity of life. Have a conversation. How can you be bigger? How can you be bigger? How can you be bigger? How can you be more? You're already too much, want more. If you're already smart, you want to be way more. If you're already too powerful, I don't see. You only will ever have the capacity to change yourself. And as you change yourself and you become the person that you want to be, as you stare in the mirror and no longer just see who you are right now, but also who you have the capacity of being, you wake up every day and instead of seeing the housewife that has a messy house and kids that don't listen and a husband who's kind of not always present, you see the next president of the United States of America. And every single action you take every day till then is in perfect alignment with becoming president, because you already know who you have to be. Who are you? I'm Caryn Terrace, future president of the United States of America. You. I love you. Have a great Sunday.